Hey everyone, this is Nick Wilson. I'm sorry if you were watching my previous video, I got cut off, had a little technical difficulty, so we're gonna restart it back from the beginning. So if you're watching this for the second time, feel free to fast forward this and catch it, in the middle. So I wanted to share with you some thoughts and ideas on the growth mindset today, and this is really going out to all my friends on Facebook that are martial artists or martial arts instructors, but it could hopefully apply to whatever it is that you do. Abraham Lincoln had a quote, "Whatever you are, be a good one." So we want to try to be the best version of ourselves, right? So if I'm a martial arts instructor, I want to be the best instructor that I can, right? If I'm an engineer, I want to try to be the best engineer that I can, or the best accountant I can, or the best librarian I can, whatever it may be, right? So I've recently reread a book that I read a couple years ago called Mindset, The Secrets of Success, written by Carol Dweck. Carol Dweck, many of you might have heard of her. She's a Stanford University professor, and she spent over 2 years researching why successful people are more successful. And what she came out of that research with over 2 decades is that successful people have a different mindset than unsuccessful people, right? So most of this stuff is common sense, but it's all good reminders, right? So successful people have a growth mindset, whereas people that are less successful have more of what's called a fixed mindset. And it's really not a dichotomy, it's more of a spectrum, and there are times in our lives where we might have one versus the other and might sway. So we want to be more intentional with developing a growth mindset. So we're going to go over 5 topics. We're going to go over looking smart. We're going to go over embracing challenges, how we view the criticism of others, how we view the success of others, and what are our thoughts on effort. So first, let's look at how looking smart. When I was about 18 years old, that's when I first started teaching adults. And there were times where someone was, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, I was teaching. And every once in a while, they would ask me a question about a move or a technique that I wouldn't know. And I caught myself a handful of times giving a little white lie of why it is we were doing what we were doing, when really I didn't know the answer, just making it up. And it wasn't until one of my mentors, Shihan Ken Gruby, said, "You know what, Nick, it's okay if you don't know the answer, and you can just say, I don't know, but let me find out and get back to you." And that took a huge weight off my shoulders, being a young instructor, of not feeling like I always had to look smart and know all the answers. And I think it's natural, the higher up in martial arts we go, or if we're a black belt, sometimes there's that expectation that we have it all figured out. And because of that, it can be sometimes difficult for us to drop our ego and to let ourselves look dumb once in a while. So that would be the first step in trying to establish a growth mindset, is not worrying about looking smart. The second step is embracing challenges. People that demonstrate a fixed mindset avoid challenges, whereas people that demonstrate a growth mindset seek out new challenges. There's 2 martial artists I know. We're going to name them Pete and Bob. Pete doesn't choose to train and spar with people that are better than him. Pete was born with a lot of athletic gifts. He's tall, he's strong, he's fast. But again, he likes to train and spar with people that he's bigger than or that he's better than. Now, Bob, on the other hand, he wasn't born with as many innate genetic gifts athletically. However, he chooses to train on a consistent basis with people that are better than him and or bigger than him. And as a result, Bob's skill development has improved faster than Pete's skill development, because Bob has really embraced those challenges. Third is the idea of criticism. People that demonstrate a fixed mindset avoid criticism or constructive feedback from others, whereas people that demonstrate a growth mindset seek out feedback and critique from others. One of my other mentors, Mr. Chamberlain, when I first started working with him, he gave me some critiques on things that I needed to work on, areas that I was weak at as far as my communication and letting my emotions get the best of me at times. And there was a time where I was a little bit resistant to getting that feedback and didn't really want to hear it. But over time, I've really come to appreciate and respect his opinion and know that he's looking out for what's best for me. And I take those critiques and that feedback that he gives me to heart and try to improve myself. Next is how we view the success of others. So people that demonstrate a fixed mindset view the success of others and they might feel resentful or bitter, right? Whereas people that demonstrate more of a growth mindset will see someone else that's successful and use that as a point of inspiration. And as instructors, it can be easy. I know for me, there's been a handful of students that have surpassed me in skill. And I'm thinking of one of my students, when we were 14 or when he was 14 or 15, we used to train all the time and spar. He loved to spar. And of course, me being bigger and his instructor, I would have the better of the exchanges. However, he trained like a maniac, and it wasn't until he was maybe 18 or 19 that oftentimes that he would have the better of the exchanges. And I found myself falling into that trap of having a fixed mindset and being, man, that's not fair. And being a little bit bitter that here's this guy that's my student that I'm supposed to be better than, go on to surpass me, and I'm his instructor, right? And I knew that wasn't the right way for me to think. And because, when we compare ourselves with others, we either feel really good or really bad, depending on who we're comparing ourselves to. And just wanted to start comparing myself to my own potential. But now I try to use that particular example as a point of inspiration and joy of, hey, I'm so happy for my student that's gone on to achieve, great success. Next, and lastly, let's talk about effort. When we see someone that's really talented, sometimes we can fall into the trap of thinking, wow, that person is just so amazingly talented. And we forget the work that it took to get there. And sometimes we'll hear people say things like, well, I'm just no good at math. Or I'm just not a good dancer. I'm either good at math or I'm not good at math. Or I'm either a good dancer or I'm not a good dancer. When really, that's more of a fixed mindset way of thinking. A growth mindset way of thinking is knowing that effort is the path to mastery, right? In my own life, I earned typically it takes 10 or 12 years to earn a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I earned mine in 16 years, so I must be a slow learner. But when I was a blue belt for about 7 years, and I took about a year and a half off in there. And when I earned my purple belt, and I still didn't feel like I was progressing at the level that I wanted to. The whole time I was a blue belt, I was only training maybe once or twice a week. And when I got my purple belt, I asked one of my professors, Carlos Valente at the time, I said, sir, I want to get better, but I keep getting smashed by these big guys, and I can't get any of my techniques to work. What do I do? And he gave me this answer. He said, Nick, when you train every day, try new things, experiment, have fun. And I thought, what the heck does that mean, right? 6 months later, he was in town. I asked him the same question, and he gave me essentially the same answer. When you train every day, have fun, experiment, try new things. And I thought, what? 6 months later, he was in town again. I asked him the same question. He gave me the same answer. But it wasn't until the third time that something he said stuck, finally. When you train every day, right? And I wasn't training every day. So I took that literally, and I started training every day, Monday through Sunday, and sometimes twice a day. I trained on average anywhere from 8 to 11 times a week, essentially. And I ended up progressing a lot quicker, and my skills started getting a lot better, and eventually I earned my black belt. So my point is people that demonstrate a fixed mindset sometimes will ignore effort, right? Whereas people that demonstrate a growth mindset know that that effort, that work that you put in is how you get to that master level, right? And this is made popular by Malcolm Gladwell. He talks about the 10,000 hour rule. And if you put 10,000 hours into anything and you put your effort behind it, you're going to become good at that thing. So in conclusion, I'd just like to urge all of you martial artists out there, martial arts instructors out there, to try to embrace that growth mindset by not worrying about looking smart, embracing new challenges, being open to feedback and constructive criticism from others, be inspired by the success of others instead of resentful, and know that effort is the key towards mastery. And whatever you do, be a good one. Os.